Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Online Sunday School. Today, we are talking some more about Jesus and the stuff Jesus did and taught us when he was on earth. Today, our Bible story is from the book of Luke. I have our Celebrate Wonder Bible storybook here, and here are the pictures for today's lesson on God's kingdom. Aren't they pretty? I'll show you a close-up in just a second. Talking about the kingdom of God today. All right, here's our Bible storybook. We have two different pictures for this Bible story because Jesus talked about two different parables. Talked about making bread and, what's this about? Something about a tree, it looks like. Let's read. God's kingdom from the book of Luke, chapter 13, verses 18 through 21. Jesus asked, "What is God's kingdom like? What can I compare God's kingdom to? God's kingdom is like a tiny mustard seed that someone planted in a garden. The mustard seed grew and grew and became a tree. It got so big that birds nested in its branches." Jesus continued, "God's kingdom is like yeast that a woman hid in lots of flour. The yeast made all of the flour grow into enough raised dough to feed many, many people." So it looks like this big tree used to be a teeny little mustard seed. And this image of a person making bread is about all the little bits of yeast that were put in the dough to feed many, many people when it became bread. Jesus often told lots of stories called parables to describe different things about God. And today, for today's lesson, Jesus is describing the kingdom of God using the example of the mustard seed that starts off very tiny and then grows and grows and grows until it's a big tree and birds can live in it and squirrels and all kinds of animals. And also the image of yeast. Have you baked bread? I know a lot of people the past year have baked a lot of bread in their homes, and yeast is just this little powder-looking stuff. You just take a little bit of it to put in your bread, and it makes the bread rise, and that's what makes it all fluffy. So you may have used yeast with bread, and it just takes a little bit to make a whole thing of big bread that can feed a lot of people. So why do we think Jesus was comparing the kingdom of God to a little mustard seed that becomes a big tree and a little bit of yeast that becomes a lot of bread to feed a lot of people? What do we think? I think part of it could be that God takes something little bitty, like a mustard seed or a little bit of yeast or a small act of kindness by someone or a little prayer, a little act of faith. God takes tiny, tiny things and uses those to make something big. God takes all the little things that we do to make great big things. And so even if we feel like we have very small faith or we can't do big things, that's not true. We can do big things through our faith and through God, because God will take even the littlest of effort or acts of kindness, acts of faith. God will take the littlest things and multiply them, make them great and big and just great and big. God will do great and big things with the little things that we have to offer. So we usually have, we didn't last week, but this week we have a wonder question from our Bible storybook, and you may have seen it when we were looking at the pictures. The question this week is, I wonder what do you think the kingdom of God is like? So Jesus compared the kingdom of God in these stories to a mustard seed and some yeast in bread. But what would you say? What's a story you could tell about what the kingdom of God is like? Think about that. Maybe that's something that you can talk about with the people who live with you. Okay, for today's craft, we are going to do something fun. It ties into our story because it's going to be a little something that we can do that we think will make a big difference to someone. We are going to make some cards for some people in our church who are 70 and older. Age 70 and older. Miss Lydia and a few people at church are going to distribute Valentine's bags to people in our church who are 70 and older. And they asked if y'all would like to help participate in the bags in a small way. And so what we're going to do is make some cards. So for this craft, as you can see, I've already cut out a small piece of this paper, but that's okay because I'm using up some scrap paper that I had on hand. This is a great time to get some scrap paper out if you have some extra. And if you don't have any scrap paper, just any kind of paper will work. I have scissors because I'm going to cut the scrap paper into a card shape. And then I have some markers. You may want to use crayons. You may have some stickers or paint or something fancy that you want to make your cards with. I'm just sticking with paper and markers. So I'm going to cut up my card I'm just going to make a little one. And I'm going to cut it like this out of my scrap paper to make my little card. So first of all, decide your card shape and cut out a little square or rectangle that you will use to decorate your card, okay? And after you've cut it out, all you need to do from there is take whatever you want to decorate your card with and decorate your card. So I'm going to do that, and you take some time. Maybe you want to pause this video or something and have a lot of good creative time making your card for someone that you know in our church. You may not even know them, and they may get your card. How awesome is that? So take some time being creative with your little Valentine card. Okay, did you finish your Valentine's card? I finished mine, and I'm going to show you. Okay, do you want to hold yours up too on the count of 3? Ready? 1, 2, 3. I made a little Valentine's card with some hearts on it, and on the inside I just wrote Happy Valentine's Day and drew some hearts, and I signed my name, very important, so that the people who get this card will know who it was from. So make sure that you sign your name to your card. I'm sure your card is very beautiful because you are all very creative. So we made some cards today, and let me just tell you how this is going to work. I'll also tell the people who take care of you in some emails and stuff. But tomorrow I'm going to drive around to everybody's house who I have addresses for, and everybody who is pre-K and up. And I'm going to drop off some cards. I'm going to buy some at the store. Drop off some cards and some little goodies for you guys as well as a thank you and a happy Valentine's Day for you. And if you will draw in the cards, draw a picture, write a little note, be sure to sign your name, because all these people who get these cards will just really appreciate knowing there was a real actual person named you that made them a special card. So you'll have about a week to get your cards made and decorated and signed. And it really doesn't have to take a lot. It could just be a super quick thing. But it's a small gesture that will make a big difference to somebody, right? So you'll have until the next Sunday, next week. And then I'm going to drive around again and pick all your decorated cards up off your porches. So make sure you leave them on your porches so I can get them and we can still be social distancing and all that. And then Miss Lydia and her team of volunteers will deliver them to all our friends at Aldersgate. And it will be such a special time and it will mean so much to them. So we made some cards this morning that you can and should definitely include when I come by for the porch pickup next Sunday, okay? So I'm going to drop off some cards, but if you made a card this morning, then you can share it with somebody as well. Okay, well, that was kind of a lot of announcement-y kind of stuff, but we did make a fun, awesome craft, and we're going to share some love with some people that we may or may not know, but who go to our church, and we just want to let them know that we love them. And we talked about how little gestures, even something as little as signing a card or making a little homemade card, can mean so much to somebody. And it's similar to our Bible story about how Jesus said a little mustard seed or a little bit of yeast in some bread can make a big difference, right? Okay, so after today's lesson, after Sunday school, go find someone in your house and tell them about what you learned today. Tell them maybe about the mustard seed or about making some bread or about the cards that we're going to make for our friends. I think that's all we have for today. We accomplished a lot, didn't we? Don't forget about the cards. Be on the lookout for tomorrow. Cards will be landing on your porch. Get excited about that. And then I'll be there next week to pick them up. Okay? Have a great week. And I will see you next Sunday for another exciting lesson. I'll see you then. Bye.